Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson with Cody here as Aviation, and today we're going to go over part 2 of the limitations section of the R44 helicopter. So there's a couple sections I'm going to leave out here that are listed in the POH limitations. One of them is the rotor speed limitations, power plant limitations, as well as the weight and balance envelopes. So I'm probably going to do the weight and balance envelopes in a future lesson, and I'm just not going to go over the power plant and rotor speed limits at all. All right. So first off, we have aerobatic flight prohibited. What that means is that you're not allowed to fly the helicopter in any way that's not ordinarily necessary for flight. So you're not allowed to try to do rolls or anything crazy like that. Not only would that not be terribly safe, but the helicopter is also not certified for it. It's certified in the normal category, and therefore you're not supposed to do aerobatic flight. So number 2, we have low G pushovers prohibited. So as I explained in the SFAR 73 awareness training, which is the previous lesson I did, a low G pushover is essentially where you're flying in level flight and you suddenly push the cyclic forward, or you go from a climb and push the cyclic forward. The result in either one of those cases is that the fuselage of the helicopter is no longer free hanging from the rotor system, and you can actually kind of cause a jackknife situation between the inside of the rotor hub and the rotor mast, which can basically end up in catastrophic failure of the rotor mast. And the correction for a low G condition, if you do a pushover and end up in that position, would be to first correct by pulling aft cyclic to get a positive G loading on the rotor system, and the second step would be to correct for the roll of the helicopter with sideward cyclic, counteract that roll and get it back in normal flight. So next we have no flight with the governor off. So the reason for that is because there's been a lot of crashes with people either flying with the governor inoperative, or just forgetting to leave it or forgetting to put it on one way or the other. There are a couple exceptions to flight with the governor off, one of them being for in-flight emergency procedures training, and the other being for systems malfunction, as they listed down here. Next thing we have is no flight in known icing conditions. So there is really no de-icing systems on the R44 helicopter, and there's been apparently a number of accidents caused by people trying to fly through icing conditions. Therefore, Robinson decided to put the no flight in known icing conditions limitation on there. Next we have the 14,000 foot maximum density altitude. I'm not really quite sure what the 14,000 foot density altitude limitation is there for. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments section, and I will look into it myself as well. I know we covered that somewhere in training, but I totally forgetting what the reason for that was. Next we have the 9,000 foot AGL, or 9,000 foot above ground level maximum altitude. And the purpose of that is that if you were to have an in-flight fire, you want to be able to get down to the surface for a landing within 5 minutes. Why 5 minutes? I don't know, to serve an arbitrary limit that they set up. So therefore you want to fly within 9,000 feet of the surface. The next one is sort of more required equipment that you need. So for this helicopter you have to have the alternator, the governor, the low RPM warning system, the outdoor air temperature gauge, and the hydraulic control systems operational. If any of those have failed, you're not legally allowed to fly this helicopter. Next, we have no loose items in the cabin with any or all doors removed. So the reason for that is probably pretty apparent if you think about it. People have tried carrying loose things, perhaps purses, things like that have gotten sucked out and gotten blown into the tail rotor, and cause catastrophic failure. Alright, that's about it, guys. See you next Thursday. Bye.